Welcome back to another webinar here with Cyanna Education Services. My name is Scott Shelton, Creative Director at Scholar House Media. Really excited to have our guests back today. I got the same panel. If you joined us last month, and I know there are some of you that have joined us again, because I saw some similar names on that attendee list. So really excited to talk about really part two of modernizing your admissions strategy for success. But before we dive into it, I want to welcome our panelists for today. To my left, Mr. Danny Ortiz.
How you doing? Excited about talking about tech and admissions, where we landed the last time, and
That's right.
I'm excited to go in more detail on that. But I hope everybody's doing well and get ready to learn some stuff from our next guy over here on the screen.
That's right. Our other panelist, Matt Schmoker. Matt, welcome. Thanks for hopping on the call again today.
My pleasure. I can't think of a better way to spend an afternoon on a Wednesday. And hey, guys, before we get started, I think we should take a moment to just express that all of us, our hearts, our prayers, our thoughts are all with those that are being impacted by the storms right now. We hope everybody's staying safe and dry and hope for the best for everybody. But definitely looking forward to this, continuing our conversation from last month. And it's good to see you guys again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt.
I ditto that.
That's right. So last time, about a month ago, we started this conversation talking about modernizing your admission strategy for success. And we spent a lot of time really, Matt, talking about the students, their expectations, what drives their choices, what schools that they actually enroll in. Can you just give us a 30-second kind of like a recap on that conversation?
Yeah, definitely. And we'll make sure that everybody gets driven to the various channels that they can see that episode. But yeah, the focus on our first part last month was really talking about understanding today's student. And I'm not just referring to Gen Z, which is important because there's a huge segment of the student population that we're targeting. And those are, the younger millennials. And then, of course, you've got Gen X. And what we're really talking about are career changers as well as Gen Z. And when we were connecting last month, the topic was about understanding their mindset, what drives them, what are their motives, what leads to the decisions they make about a school that they're interested in, what are the core influencers, and then ultimately, what are the expectations that they have of the school that they're looking to enroll in. And to really modernize your admissions process, you have to understand the students that you're reaching out to and appealing to so that your tech and your engagement strategies match, again, what really motivates them and what leads to them taking the next steps throughout the admissions process. So definitely, I hope everybody will go check out that video and reach out if they'd like to have a deeper conversation about it.
Right. And Matt, your audience, our audience, they can all find that at cyanna.com. You can click on webinars. And actually, if you are watching today, it is actually just below. You can see every past webinar there as well. We also made it available at the cyannapodcast.com. So if you're driving, you can actually listen to it in podcast format there as well via our SoundCloud channel. So again, understanding student drivers, right? Student decision making, their expectations, and even like their backgrounds, right? That leads us to how do we leverage the two major topics for today. So Matt, why don't you give us an idea of what the second half of this conversation is actually going to attempt to kind of cover in this talk.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to be focusing on today are, number one, what are the technology or digital solutions that schools are investing in today, whether it be marketing or admissions, the department in terms of resources. And then we want to layer that by talking about best engagement strategies utilizing technology that really appeals to students. Because what we're going to be addressing today is how does a school provide value, relationship, and experience that we know drives today's student. And we talked a lot about that last month, but technology and having a great engagement strategy and understanding the triggers that really appeal to today's students are just as important to creating that value, that relationship and experience. So we're going to talk first about investments schools are making today as well as best practices for engaging today's student and keeping them motivated and on target throughout the entire admissions process, all the way to starting school.
Hey Matt, are we going to get into like there's two different types of technology, right? There's the back end and the front end when it comes to student engagement, right? There's the technology that the administrations themselves and the school needs, and it's also an understanding how our students are engaging with that technology. But sometimes they're not the same, right? So if someone's engaging like with Instagram or something like that, but you may need a better CRM on the other end. Those are two different types of technology, but both as needed, right? Are we going to get into those nuances because it's bigger? It's a bigger conversation.
No, you're spot on, Danny. Certainly we can't cover it all in just a 45-minute conversation, but we are going to touch on some of those key points throughout the day today. And based upon how well received this conversation is, I think we can take it another step further and talk even more so about front end and back end digital solutions that schools are utilizing, not just in admissions, but what are they doing to keep the student engaged in the classroom and maintaining engagement with that student once they're an alumni and now they're in their career. So yes, definitely we can take that conversation much further, and I think we definitely will, because it's a hot topic today and something that's really in demand that schools want to learn more about.
All right.
100%.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah.
Let's get into this.
Is that the cue? All right, just
Yes.
like we rehearsed it, right, guys? Just like we rehearsed it. All right, let me bring this up, just like we rehearsed it. Right. All right. Let me know when you guys can see this beautiful slide.
We're there.
We're there. All right, fantastic. So yeah, to continue what we started with this afternoon, on the heels of talking about today's student, what are the investments that schools are making today to maintain contact, or first of all, actually reach that student and or that prospective student? And what I want to talk about are some of the key investments that schools are making in admissions, not just in resources, but again, connecting with today's student and motivating them to inquire in their school that they're interested in. So we can't begin talking about the admissions funnel unless we start where it all begins, and that is in how we capture their interest and in marketing. And for some of the things that we're going to be talking about here today, and Scott and Danny, this is certainly a field of your expertise on the digital marketing side. We're going to walk through some of this material, and I'm certain that our audience today is going to look at this and either say, yep, doing it, it kind of confirms what we already knew, or it confirms we're on the right path. Or it might trigger an aha moment where you say, I'm not really doing that. Maybe that's something to explore further, or something that I need to learn more about. And if those are some of the aha moments that you have, certainly we'll make sure that you've got our contact information so you can reach out and learn more about that, as well as the additional solutions and services that we can offer to make sure that you are modernizing your approach, that you are connecting and engaging today's student, and you're having tremendous success working with that student all the way through the admissions funnel. Because as we know, this is a crucial time of year with the fall enrollment cycle upon us. So this is the time that everybody's putting on the full court press to make great headway towards those goals for the tail end of the year. But nonetheless, let's talk a bit about some of those key digital marketing investments that schools are making. And so this is sort of an obvious one, but something that we definitely got to lead with, and that is schools are making tremendous investments in SEO and pay-per-click campaigns. And it's kind of one of the must investments you have to make if you're going to be able to reach out to students. And Scott, Danny, I know this is an area that you are experts in, and Scott, with Scholar House Media, this is a service that I know that your team provides schools.
Yeah, I think something that's important to like really note about SEO is that traditionally folks think about SEO as something that helps them be found online, right? And they want to rank first and have their school, be one of the first page, top of the page, kind of like the results when anyone searches cosmetology school, in and around their area. But what some schools don't really realize is that everything you do in terms of SEO helps your pay per click as well. In
Yeah.
that, the way Google ranks you and rates you, and thus what you pay per click, is affected by how Google scores your website. So if you've got a great site, that gives them opportunities to do like additional research, learn more about, their the student experience, cost, schedule, what it's going to be like for them. Google's more likely to not only serve you up in SEO, but also lower that cost of your ads as well.
You said something paperclip there. What does that mean for those who not
Sure,
understanding the whole language? Because you and
sure,
I know what you're talking about, but
sure.
I'm like, it could, I want to explain it in detail that way they understand.
Yeah, so pay per click, you are paying to be at the top of a SERP, or a search engine results page. So someone searches cosmetology school, how you are search engine optimized, or how your SEO is set up on your site. You may show up on page 1, page 2, hope you're not in page 3 and page 4, right? If you want to skip that and jump to the head of the line, you can pay for a sponsored ad to be one of the very first, the first results
Search
there.
result after the
Yeah,
search.
yeah,
Now, that's more than just your name of your school, right? So that you also want to optimize words. So like if you're in cosmetology, there are certain words attached to that industry that you want to focus. How do you guys, Scholar House, focus on specific words to bring that optimization and to bring you all the way up to the top? Because
yeah.
not a lot of times it's not only your name. What the client wants to see is their name up top, but there's more in depth into that, right?
Right, because there is something as like your brand traffic, which is your school name. If someone's searching your school name, they're going to find you anyways. If
100%.
you want to find people that are not searching your school name too,
So
you want to
good.
get that off-brand traffic, and those folks might search for barbering, right? Cosmetology, whatever, welding, whatever, all these schools are offering. So you want to do some like keyword research. What are your students searching for? What are the key terms in your school, in your programs, in what you offer, and make sure that your ads are aligned to be served up to those students when they search those things.
So that way you can optimize whatever you're doing. And it can be also web based, right? So
That's
you
right.
want to make sure that your website and the stuff that is representing you have those words
That's right.
so that it can optimize the usage of that website and the traffic of that website.
Right. Now, it's important to note, gone are the days of grabbing a bunch of keywords and then throwing them into your site.
100%.
At the end of the day, Google is smart enough now, right? Via
Yeah.
AI and all these other things, right? Their algorithm knows content is for humans, right? And it's not for search engines. And Google is constantly trying to provide a better search engine result for that prospective student. And so something to consider is, don't just grab a bunch of keywords and throw them in, and you want to really take your time to explain what's that student experience like, because you will rank better and you will pay less for your ads, meaning with the same budget you'll get more clicks, and that's what everyone on this call
That's the
wants.
most important.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, in addition to that, the other thing everybody wants is a great social presence. And
That's right.
again, marketing, you got to have a social media presence. And so here are some of the key ones that should definitely be talked about. And again, time being spent building up if you haven't already. So, of course, we have TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. The interesting thing about a couple of these that we need to make note of is LinkedIn is actually close to surpassing Facebook with regard to connecting with the career changer market. In fact, going years back, universities figured this out, and they weren't just trying to attract career changers. They were attracting those young professionals that were still in high school or recent high school graduates. And career training school sort of figured it out. LinkedIn's got something here and a very powerful algorithm that we could really reach out to the career changer market that is heavily driven through LinkedIn. And then YouTube, of course, schools have to have a YouTube channel. And because Google owns and operates YouTube, it probably doesn't surprise most people that YouTube now is close to surpassing Google searches. So when people are looking to get educated or learn a little bit more about a particular school, they're searching for that school in the YouTube search bar, and they're looking for virtual tours, what capturing the student experience, the culture of the school, those that work in the school, the processes, all of those sort of things. So these are channels that schools must have, and we'll talk about this in a little bit later on, but are ensuring that they are inviting all of their prospective students and active students to make sure that they are connected to these communities. And gentlemen, I'm sure you've got definitely something you want to add to this, but these are, some of the crucial ones that schools are definitely making sure they have a presence with.
The biggest thing I want to say, Matt, when it comes to all the social medias, there are some algorithms that are different, and you may tap into one, like let's say TikTok. Maybe a lot of people are not using. Maybe you start using, you start seeing that you find a rhythm with that social media. I think a lot of times people want to spread themselves thin, and when I think this is more for you as a scholar house, when you find a client that for some reason, and it's just algorithm. There's nothing you can do. Just the algorithm on Instagram is picking them up better. Finding the niche that you can find through that social media, because there's so many avenues that you can use your school in. But sometimes we don't want to throw wasted money or bad money into something that's not really working. And you can have all your presence of all of them, but for some reason the algorithm picks you up and you're doing better at one than the other. Then focus your strength and your energy and your time creating more TikToks. If you go from 5,000 followers to 1 million, you're gonna put your strength and your energy and your time and your effort and your finances in that. Have you see that as some trends?
Yeah, and what we preach, like, really along those lines is, just because there is a platform doesn't mean you have to be on that platform,
100%.
right? I mean, find what works for you, set a calendar and create content for it, or have someone in house create content, or maybe it's like your marketing, um, your agency there, but I think it's important to really talk about, there's two types of social media, right? There's
Mhm.
organic, which is stuff that you are making and sharing and optimizing so that when folks go to your page, they are really just kind of vetting you, right?
Mhm.
Fill those pages with content. That's or organic content. Then there's paid content, right? And paid content is completely different. You are serving it up to people who don't follow you and maybe have like never heard of you. And so we always say, just like I just said earlier, get your SEO right, then turn on ads. Same thing in social is get your page right, get it optimized, get all your
100%.
call to actions driving, make sure that your phone number is right, that your admissions team is connected to those profiles, then turn on ads. Because the worst thing is you turn on ads, Matt, is you start, getting leads and there's no one there to actually manage them. That's definitely money down the drain.
Scott, let me ask you this on the social medias: do you see with your clients one of them not being utilized that you think should be, like, if you can highlight one, what would be one that you see people not utilizing that has potential to have better traction or even better use case on finding out your potential clients better than others?
Well, I think that each one has its own, pluses and minuses. I will say the engagement time with a TikTok is very low, right? You're just going, people are swiping faster and faster. A lot of people say that people aren't using Facebook. Facebook's dying. Well, they've been saying that every year, and we get great results out of
Exactly
Facebook
what I
ads.
wanted
It's
to. I
still
wanted you
not
to
going
say
away.
that. Yes, yes.
Facebook is still a valuable platform, especially to what Matt was talking about in like the career changer piece,
Yeah.
right? Not all of your prospective students are 16 to 20-year-olds on TikTok, right? You're enrolling folks in their 30s, and those folks still are on Facebook every single day.
Yeah.
To your point earlier, Danny, about investments people are making or the time commitment to creating that organic content that Scott was referring to. This is another reason why schools are either investing in agencies to help them create that, or they hire social media coordinators to be in addition
Yes.
to the admissions department to capture content every single day and posting that. We've worked with school systems that, as part of their in-house marketing team, they hire social media, experts who are coming right out of college or who have had great experience as marketing coordinators or representatives, who are just constantly creating fresh content and making sure that it's live and it's posted and it's engaging people on a continuous basis. So that's another example of the investments people are making, because quite frankly, not everybody has the time to be able to do that. One of the other things about social media that I think is a huge opportunity for schools today is allowing students to engage in social while they're attending school. um, there's sort of this belief that today's student, all they are is glued to their phone, and we know there's a lot of truth to that. But then there's this belief that the phone or the mobile device has got to go away because your focus is on school. But what we also know is that technology is engaging students today. We need to meet students where they are, and students can be marketers on the behalf of the school by allowing them to engage in social in the classroom. I'll give you an example. We did this several years ago with a cosmetology school system that had 89 schools across the country. And what we experimented with was having all students across the country post at the exact same time. Now, this was for new students starting, so this is important to know. So everything was synchronized. All the schools coordinated with the students to post first day at XYZ school, hashtag first day of school, whatever it was. And when they posted it, there was a viral effect that happened almost instantaneously. And what that did is it created a web that captured more interest from people within each of those students' networks, that it was driving the website absolutely nuts. And we saw a spike in not only engagement through the website, but we saw high yield in inquiries generated through the websites. You see this in cosmetology schools as an example, where you have students that are posting their first haircut, right? And so what you do is you kind of create this viral effect. And if you can synchronize that with schools that have multiple schools within the system, you can create this sort of impact that has a broader reach and not only meets the students where they are, but you're allowing that student to show their pride, capture the culture of the school, which we know is important to students today, and again, can attract that interest that we might otherwise not be able to capture on our own without their help. So it's a great strategy, and I'd love to see more schools doing this today. Call to action forms. When we talk about the websites, this is a huge opportunity. I know for a lot of our audience members watching this, they're probably looking at the same, we've already got this, and that's great. But a lot of schools we work with do not. And although it seems like common sense, as my mentor once said, if it's common sense, then it's common that it needs to be said all the time. And so the point being, you got to have these call to action web forms that really spark interest and have the sticky nav that follow that prospect as they're visiting the website, to continuously trigger them to, if you want to look at gaining more information, you want to engage with our team, whatever it might be, you got to fill out the form and request more information. And typically I see schools that will have these web forms with a bunch of questions, and although that's great for qualifying the lead, what we know is that we lose engagement with that prospective student if there are too many questions in the web form. And Scott, I know with your team that developed these websites, that's definitely something that you found as well.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you, Scott, with that, and Matt, maybe you can chime into this too. Like, what is the one thing that people need to do in a website if they only can do one? If you have one, and I know that's hard to narrow down to one, what would be the most important thing for that landing website page?
making it easy to get to these call to action web forms. Don't put it behind this like longer questionnaire. Don't put it behind, a bunch of other pages, a bunch of other clicks. Put it at the top of your page. People want to fill it out quickly. Don't make it hard to find, because that web form is everything. I mean, that's your lead funnel. And so, making sure that folks get to that form, keep the form simple, whether it's name, email, phone number, what's the program, what's getting you excited about this. And then just having that connect to, any CRM, which I know, Matt, we will talk about here shortly.
So what would that be? The invitation be like if it's let's say a school that teaches web design? Would it be like, for more information on web design, click here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think building excitement through the content that really funnels every action along the way throughout that page, throughout multiple pages, is driving to that contact form. So you don't want to have just one button that at the end takes you to this form. There should be multiple opportunities to get to that call to action form.
That's a great point. Like 3 or 4 of them in a page.
They may connect on like your blog, which we will talk about here shortly. They may connect with the very first picture on the page. They may already know that they want to get to it.
Yeah.
They're searching your school name because they saw, they saw like your classmate on social media in the classroom, right? They're like, oh, great. I'm going to go fill out this form, make it easy for them to actually find it.
And Matt, to your point, get one, because that way they get to find you. And to your point, once they get there, what are they going to get there for?
That's right.
If somebody's taking the time to search you and they already got there is some level of interest.
That's right.
So we have to think about it from that point of view. They already are interested in me, so I might as well ask to dance.
Yep, that's right.
That's right. I mean, we're kind of an impatient society today, you could argue. And so people want to make it really easy to make contact, get more information, next steps, all those sort of things. I mean, think about it this way, Danny. Think about Amazon, how easy they make it to buy something. In fact, and this just happened earlier this summer. My niece got into my phone, which really freaks me out. But anyway, I don't know how she got in, but she breaks into the phone.
They're smart, Matt. They're just smart.
It's scary. It's really scary. But she's playing on my phone, and so no big deal. And a few minutes go by, and I get an alert on my phone that there's been a purchase made through Amazon. And I look to her. And I said, Kaylee, what were you doing on my phone? She goes, thanks for my new Barbie, Uncle Matt. And I'm like, oh, this kid just went in to Amazon, and it was that easy for a child to make a purchase. And so if we make it really easy to be able to make purchases, even purchases we shouldn't be making, we should make it equally, if not even easier, for somebody who's interested in going to school, launching their new career, making an educated, confident decision. We need to make it extremely easy for them to be able to reach out and say, get a hold of me because I want to learn more about your school, your programs, what you have to offer, and the career of interest that I have. And one of the other ways that schools do that today is, of course, through blogging to keep them relevant. Of course, that impacts SEO, keeps the population educated, if you will. And a lot of the things that people are blogging about are not just the school. I mean, that's one thing, but they're really educating the market on the programs or the industries and all the different career pathways that somebody could pursue when they graduate, and what the growth trajectory is and how in demand these careers are. All of those sort of things are really, really important. That, again, adds a layer of engagement between that prospect and the school. And then retargeting ads and geofencing. Scott, I know this is another area of expertise, but it's definitely an investment that we see a lot of schools making today. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, retargeting is just when someone has previously shown interest in your school, and they've maybe like seen the site, visited that site, and then later, surprisingly, they get served up an ad for your site, right? And so, but there's other ways that that are close to this as well, such as If you can pull past leads out of your CRM, out of your admissions department, you can upload those into like a Google customer match, or even Facebook does it now, to where if those people have already given you their, names, emails, and phone, those folks have, both Facebook and Google will actively serve them up ads. So leads that have actually gone cold, right? Those can be re-engaged. Uh, and the final point on your slide there, Matt, was geofencing. It's really just making sure that you're only serving up ads to students who would geographically, right, attend your school. So if it's online, you can still pull, you know, any of that student data, right,
100%.
out of your CRM, whether it's, addresses and zip codes, whatever. But if you're running a barber school in Lincoln, Nebraska, pull out all of your barber students, like the College of Hair Design out there. um, Pull all of those leads out of your CRM, look at those zip codes, and make sure that you know how far out are our students actually driving, because you can put that into your ads today.
Yeah. I just want to add something, Matt, on something you said about blogging. I just want to take it a little bit further. When you blog, not only talking about the school, but I think industry specific, and become a thought leader on whatever it is, right? So let's say if you're selling hair, new hair products, things are coming out, right? And you've tried it, right? Just blogging on that specific stuff that's happening within your industry can get you traction on all the social media sites.
Mm-hmm.
On, let's say you're on LinkedIn right now, your school is on LinkedIn, and you're doing your school's on medicine, right? And you're writing different, some of your teachers are writing blogs on specific medicines that are coming out. I mean, that gets attraction itself. So the blogging doesn't have to be about your school, but it can be about industry specific things that are happening in the industry, right, that you can now become a thought leader on, and people wanting you. So that brings attraction to the school.
Yeah. I think. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Scott.
I was just going to say, people who don't know your brand may find a blog post, right? And those folks are at the top of the funnel, right?
100%.
Those folks are just looking for knowledge, information, right? About, haircutting, welding, IT, whatever it is, right? And those folks, and then use that blog to embed more of those call to action forms.
Exactly right.
Every single blog post on your site should have a call to action to fill out that contact form. Okay, whether it's hairstyles, whatever it is, driving those folks to, if you're interested in this, because obviously you are, because you are here and you've made it to the bottom of this article, fill out this form.
100%. Yeah.
One of the other areas that we gain a lot of traction, and again, a huge area of opportunities for schools today, are reviews. Reviews on various channels. Now, we talked a bit about this last month, and we got some really good feedback about this. This was sort of an aha moment that a lot of schools had. And this is based off of, several years worth of research and working with, many of the schools that we do throughout the country and beyond. But I want to bring this back up because it really underscores the point of how important it is for schools to be engaged and use every channel necessary to be able to demonstrate the sort of culture or experience that students may be looking for or can expect to experience if they make that investment of time, money, energy, commitment, all those things to attend the school. So these are the average number of reviews that students are looking at to make a decision as to what next step they want to pursue in the funnel. So the first is, and I'll throw this out to the audience, my first question is, how many reviews on average is a prospect looking at to make a decision if they even want to inquire? So this is just to inquire, nothing else yet. How many reviews are they reading to inquire? Danny, Scott, do you remember this?
I do remember this.
I do remember this. Yep. So I had said 10 the first time, but I knew it was 8 because you said it.
Again, it was all part of the rehearsal. It was fabulous work. It was fabulous. Yeah, it is 8. So again, an average of 8 reviews are being looked at for that prospective student to make a decision. Okay, this is a school that I want to inquire with. And I think what we also need to point out here is I think there's sort of this myth that a lot of schools have that if somebody's going to visit my site, that must mean they're interested and they're going to inquire right away. What we know is that that's not necessarily the case. They're going to visit that site numerous times before they inquire, because to inquire, there's a level of commitment involved. And part of the reason why they're not inquiring right away is because they're trying to get feedback on other people's experiences attending that same institution. And so again, the point here is they're reading an average of 8 just to decide to inquire. Now, what about to attend that first appointment? So let's say the admissions rep has made contact with that prospective student, and now they're going to schedule that first appointment or the tour. What's your best guess, audience? How many are they reading to decide if they even want to attend that first appointment? Scott and Danny, you guys remember this one?
I do. Somewhere in the 4s to 6 range, something like that.
I'll guess 3.
He said 3.
No, that 4 to 6 range. I'll meet you in the middle, Danny. So yeah, it is 5. So again, they're reading another 5 reviews just to decide whether or not they want to attend that first admissions appointment. Now let's take it a step further. You've been working with that admissions representative. You've been working with financial aid. You're going through that entire process. And now they're asking for the enrollment. And now the student's got to make a decision. The question becomes, how many more reviews are they reading just to decide whether or not they want to enroll? And that's actually another 8. Now, it doesn't stop with enrollment. We've got to also focus on keeping that student engaged and motivated to actually sit for that first day of class. There's more reviews that they are reading to make a decision if they even want to start. And if you guess that it's 6, great job. Now what that says is, on average, that prospect is looking at 27 reviews throughout the key phases of that admissions funnel. Now, if you don't have a lot of activity in this area, it's a huge opportunity to get students involved, to get prospective students involved, to get guests. If you're a school that provides services to the community, to get guests involved. I have seen schools in the admissions department that ask that prospect after the first admissions appointment to take time and review their experience that they had working with that admissions rep. They ask the same thing of them that enroll and that start, or while they're going through their experience in school. So those are all key drivers of gaining those reviews. Now, the other interesting point I want to bring up here when we talk about the influence that reviews have, especially from a marketing standpoint, is that Gen Z, when it comes to buying a tangible product, only reads 4. So the question is, why would it take more reviews for a prospect to make a decision if they want to be fully committed to the school versus the younger student that's only reading 4 reviews to decide to buy a tangible product like a phone or a pair of shoes or anything like that? What's your guys' best guesses on, why so many more reviews compared to just a product out there?
I think you're dealing with, career change. You're dealing with a great amount of money that's being spent on re-educating themselves, whether they're re-educating themselves or, the whole educational process is anxious anyway. So I think there's a lot of different, even psychological reasons why, I think there's emotions, there's, I have so many attached to my career and what I want to do and what's going to bring me money. So that I think there's many layers of reasons.
Yeah. And I think to summarize all those key points, Danny, it's an emotional sell, isn't it? I mean, you're making an emotional decision when you're looking at committing, a lot of money, time, energy, commitment, sacrifice to an experience that you're hoping to have at the school. That in of itself is a very emotional commitment that students are needing to make. And so because we know them to be the most experiential consumer we've ever seen, part of their decision is going to rest upon the experiences that other people are having, whether they know them or not. So again, from the marketing side, these are some of the key investments that people are making, not just of resources, but their time and utilizing the expertise of their staff to be able to better engage student on the front end of the funnel. But now that you've captured that inquiry from the admissions side, what are the resources that you should definitely make sure that you have to be able to adequately connect with that inquiry and keep them engaged throughout the funnel? And so here are some of the key admissions tools that we know you have to have today to be very successful and competitive in the market. First and foremost, you must have a CRM. Uh, I've worked with schools that are still utilizing spreadsheets as their lead management system, their customer relationship management system, and a CRM that captures all those inquiries and allows you to be engaged, to strategically work with that funnel, to have automation to it that allows us to make instant engagement with that prospective student through a multitude of communication channels is an absolute. And if you're an owner of a school or you're a leader of a school, you definitely want to be aware of what is and is not taking place within the admissions department. Number one, from an accountability and management standpoint, but from a coaching and leadership perspective, it gives you all that visibility. And without that visibility, you can't make strategic decisions, and it makes it really difficult to be able to coach your admissions rep up for success. In fact, here's an example. This happened with a school system in Florida. It's a nursing school. They have 5 locations. And when we started working with them about 6 or 7 years ago, we asked, show us your process and, how do you manage your inquiries? And so the inquiries were coming through in email only. They would print that email and then they would use the piece of paper like we used to do in the late 90s and early 2000s to work that inquiry, would put notes into an Excel spreadsheet. And then when I asked the president of the school for this one location, where are your metrics? Like, what's your reporting? How do I, be able to monitor what's taking place with your admissions team? He says, go ahead and open up that door. And when I open up the door, there's this big whiteboard behind the door. And there were columns written on this whiteboard. That was his report. And so I asked, well, how do you track on a month-to-month basis? And then he pulls out these pictures and says, I take a picture of the whiteboard every month. Now, I know that's a pretty extreme example, but the point I'm trying to make is that we're still not optimizing ourselves with the resources we need to be really competitive in the marketplace, to be really engaged with today's student, to be instantaneous with capturing information from these prospective students, to be able to make contact with them, and to be able to work a very strategic workflow that allows us to make sure that we're providing the best service for our prospective students so we can see them all the way through to starting school. And part of a really robust CRM is to have automation, and that automation should have a contact strategy. And the contact strategy that I'm referring to is, how do you make first contact? In other words, you receive something back from the prospective student, whether it be a phone call, a text back, or an email back, some sort of reciprocated communication from that prospective student. We have a contact strategy that has over 70% contact rate, making first contact with that prospective student happening within the first 2 weeks of capturing that inquiry information, which is phenomenal. We know that beyond that 2-week window, it gets more and more difficult to make first contact and be able to schedule that admissions appointment or that first tour. A great CRM can automate a contact strategy that has logic within it, that has rules set, that if something happens, it triggers a next action on the behalf of that admissions representative, so they don't have to constantly schedule next steps for themselves. The CRM on the front end is doing all that work for them. So it allows that rep more time to make their calls or to be able to conduct more admissions appointments and tours, knowing that the front end communication strategies are being taken care of by the CRM. Now, the CRM is not obviously going to make the phone call for you, but what we know from text and email, that first point of engagement sets up that rep strategically to being able to make contact with them through that phone call. So all that said, your CRM should really have those automated triggers in them that you can embed your contact strategy, be the first school to make contact, which means have a conversation with them and set yourself up for success to being able to schedule that first admissions appointment. And that's something I'm excited Illumina provides through
Matt,
our
that's
software.
what I'm glad that you said that, Matt. I was because we going on 47 minutes now, so I just want to real quick land on some things. Man, thank you for that because the first thing I hear is we got to turn everything that we do on paper, and that even that story about writing the paper stuff just gave me the chills because we haven't written
Flashbacks.
papers stuff like that in a long time. So, hey, Matt, talk a little bit about Illumina and the stuff that we offer here in Cyanna when it comes to CRM and automation, and how some of the products that we offer can help some of the schools that are listening to us right now in some of the very areas that you're talking about. And there's many more to go into that we offer, but even just starting out those two as time is winding down, what are some of the things that we can do with Illumina to help some of the schools that are listening to us right now?
See what happens when the three of us get together. We can never stay on time, can we?
No, we're having a good time.
Might turn this into a part 3. But yeah, some of the key features that Illumina has is number one, obviously, we'll capture that inquiry, put it into the system, and instantly make contact or attempt to make contact with that prospective student. We have our own contact strategy. It's proprietary that we can embed into the CRM with set rules that attempts to make contact with that prospective student through emails and texts, and then has logic in it telling the rep when they need to make the next series of phone calls. The phone is definitely suggest, but the phone strategy is still very, very important. So we have the automated features to it. The communication channels that we have: email, text, video calls, phone calls, voice messages. All those things can be done through our CRM. We have a workflow embedded in it, so we can customize a workflow to the liking of the school so that they have a strategic workflow that works best for their processes and their operations. We have a full suite of reports that tells us a lot about what's taking place in the admissions department, but can give us a lot of information geographically as to what's happening from a marketing standpoint, so we can make really educated decisions as to where we want to make the next series of investments. And I'd be happy for those that want to look at our software solution to reach out, and we'd be happy to conduct a demonstration for you to show you, everything that Illumina has to offer, and maybe allow you to be even more optimized in your admissions department.
Matt, you was bringing up the email. One of the cool things about when you do the email is everything's customizable, right, Scott? Like you can really create some beautiful types of emails and call back to actions that you can personalize it yourself. You can add photos to it. There's so much that you can do, Scott, with this program that you and I have played around with. So many. And Scott, they can get a hold of it just going to Cyanna.com, right?
That's right. And so, and edlumina.com also gets you there. But yeah, Edlumina has a rich HTML builder right within it. And so as soon as that lead hits your inbox, students can get an automated email right away that talks to them about what the application process is like, who they will be hearing from, just setting those initial expectations. And to your point, Danny, it can have embedded videos in it, graphics, anything, and it is built so that within Edlumina you can build that email, and you can build that timeline, or to exactly like what Matt said about logic, right? Like when they hit this step, or if they have gone cold for X amount of days, they could get this message, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's a lot of customization there so that students get an email that matches what the website looks like, what the social media looks like, and it's all this one kind of like a unified brand.
100%.
What I love about Illumina compared to other CRMs that are out there is you don't have to be a coder or a computer programmer to be able to utilize the system. It is so intuitive. The user experience is extremely rich, and it's very easy to be able to create, these communication templates that you will want to stay engaged with the student. And it has other features I'm going to talk about here that I'm laying out here on this slide. But virtual admissions is important. So again, video conferencing is going to be crucial. That I think one of the things that COVID showed us is that strategies that always existed are now even more relevant today. And so video conferencing is a great strategy to bring the school or the experience to that prospective student. Illumina allows us to use video conferencing for leaving messages with students. One of the other benefits of having a CRM is if you're a school that has appointment setters that you don't necessarily have in your school, but are remote, which is a very popular position today, a CRM will definitely be good to monitor, their activity. Virtual admissions, here you go, Danny, augmented reality. Imagine for a moment being able to pick up a piece of collateral, scanning it with your phone, and instantaneously you're taking yourself into a classroom, a laboratory, and seeing the action taking place as if you were right there in the classroom, or a video appearing from a testimonial of a graduate or an employer. In other words, utilizing technology to better engage the student through all the material we use to educate them from a marketing standpoint. One of the other crucial elements of having a very robust CRM is document collection, and Illumina has that. So we can digitize all your admissions documents and allow that prospective student to send their documents by scanning them. They can send them through their portal to the admissions representative. So that makes it extremely easy. Instead of having multiple appointments, can make that process much easier. And from a compliance standpoint, we house all those necessary documents in a digital folder that makes it much easier from compliance standpoint for reviews, all of those pieces. But what I really want to emphasize is it makes it more convenient of an experience for that prospective student to work through the admissions process by being able to digitally send their information to us, and we can capture that information through Illumina. And one of the other things that our CRM does that others may not is that if you have an app fee, an enrollment fee, or you want to make tuition payments, that can all be done through Illumina as well. And VoIP is also really, really crucial to be able to make those phone calls through the CRM. Again, it makes it much easier for the admissions representative. It makes it instantaneous for the prospective student. So here are just some of the necessary elements that we see that from a resource standpoint really equips your admissions representative well to be set up for success, and again, be better engaged with supporting that prospective student. I know we're running out of time,
Yeah, I
gentlemen.
was going to say we might have to do a part 3 and then talk about some engagement strategies in the next one. And also, even I know there are probably a lot of questions on the tech side that we are not going to be able to get to. And so, what I'm going to say, if you have questions on tech or want a topic for us to kind of really even dig into, I know there's so much about tech, Matt, that we want, and Scott, that we want to talk about. And the next couple of times, please send us those questions in, because we really want to answer them and really want to engage in conversation.
Yeah, and I will say though that a lot of what has been covered talks about student engagement in a number of ways, right?
Yes.
Talking about social media in the classroom, best ways to engage students through your website. But those last few notes on key admissions tools there, Matt, was digital documents, payment options, right? Those types of things. A lot of folks don't think about the student engagement experience from the CRM side, right? Giving your student
100%.
a quality portal where they can safely and securely and efficiently upload things like, any of their, if you're running like a nursing program, where are they going to upload all of, say, like their vaccination records, right? Making the payment online, right? So these are ways to engage your student. And again, it can be automated, right? They
100%.
can be sent a reminder. Hey, you haven't finished your application because you set it to, however long. Hey, you have not made your application fee yet, right? It sends them to this, like a dedicated and branded, school branded portal where they can, sign their documents, upload other documents, make payments, and who knows? The rep knows, your director of admissions knows. And this is critical as well from a compliance standpoint. One of the first places an accreditor or someone that is in charge of like your state licensure is going to look at your school is on the admissions side. Do you have a complete enrollment agreement? Do you have that entire packet? And you don't want to go to your fireproof safe, right, to go pull that student file, right? You want to go into your CRM
And pull that out.
and pull it digitally where it is safe and secure.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, Danny, we opened this up. We said this is a long conversation, right? So I think you're right. We'll leave it for a part 3, and what we'll add to engagement strategies are additional strategies that we see working really well to convert those inquiries into enrollments, utilizing those best practices for keeping engaged with that prospective student. And for those of you that are still with us, if you want more information on Illumina, our admissions services, our training programs, our optimization systems, all of those pieces, or you want to get more information on Scholar House Media, please feel free to reach out. Here's my contact information. Of course, you can visit Cyanna.com and Scott, scholarhousemedia.com, correct?
That's right. And for anyone who wants to rewatch this or watch a previous edition of these webinars, they can go to Cyanna.com and click on webinars. That's where you will be able to watch this one. We should have it up and ready by tomorrow, and as well as past ones as well. So if you had a colleague that was not able to attend, we will be emailing this out to everyone, and it will be at Cyanna.com as well, and we'll even convert it into a podcast version as well. So, Matt, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Thank you for having
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. And don't forget, when we have our next webinar, you will be signing up at the very same place, Cyanna.com/webinars, and where you will be able to rewatch any of our series as
100%.
well. So, guys, thank you for the time today. We look forward to seeing you here next time. Since 2008, Cyanna Education Services has been uniting compliance and technology for the education industry. Today, Cyanna supports institutions of higher education, post-secondary schools, and organizations around the world to achieve their educational goals. Cyanna offers an array of client services in 3 major categories: compliance consulting, curriculum development, and Edlumina, our online education platform. Through our compliance consulting services, Cyanna ensures that your organization is on the right side of regulations. We assist with state licensing, the accreditation process, and even launching a new school within the U.S. We have years of regulatory experience for clients that are just starting out or have been long established. Cyanna also helps create what happens in the classroom, whether online, on campus, or a combination of both. Our curriculum development team produces educational content for all types of schools and educational needs. We can deliver curriculum for traditional classrooms, professional development, and even within our online immersive education platform, Edlumina. Over the years, Edlumina has grown from an admissions CRM platform designed specifically for education. Today, Edlumina also offers a student information system, an online course catalog with point of sale, and even immersive augmented and virtual reality training. But beyond the unique nature of services we offer in the education sector, it's our background, our experiences, and our relationships that set us apart from other firms. We have been involved in the education industry with every level of stakeholder, from students and faculty to school owners and regulators. At Cyanna Education Services, we are advancing the power of education around the world. Visit our website, Cyanna.com, to see for yourself.